It's our Saturday night tonight. It's the 13th of May. It's our first taste of the summer. I think it got into the mid-90s today. And that's often a note of conversation for people, the weather, and what it's like here, what it's like there, how it's changed, how it's different. I wish it was cooler, I wish it was warmer. So that's often the sense that we have around our bodies and how we feel in our bodies, and that consistent looking for comfort and what's pleasant. And I was, usually we have some more air circulation. It can be a bit cooler in this hall, but our system's broken right now, and to a certain degree there's, it answers more the sense that we have. This is dukkha. There is a sense that there is this discomfort or this sense of dis-ease. And, we feel that, but we don't want it. We want it to be different, which is what dukkha is always telling us. If it was just some other way. And so the confusion that we're often experiencing with this is around our own bodies, and we feel this is my body, this is how I live, how I want things to be, how I touch things, how I experience things, and it's always me and mine, and this body being very much a visceral sense of who and what I believe myself to be. And so as the Buddha was teaching us, this is pretty much the essence of his teaching. It's around this self that we continue to carry around, this belief in this permanent being, and it's very much tied into our bodies. So when when the Buddha is talking about the 5 khandhas, he talks about form, contact, and feeling. So it's like unpleasant, pleasant feeling, or neutral feeling, or he talks about the perception we have. So that's like our picking up of what's actually happening, of what our senses are picking up. Which is interesting that, that there's it's not necessarily linear, but what's stated first is that there is this pleasant and unpleasant that comes first before perception. And then we kind of create a whole world around that. That's our mental formations, the sankharas. And the consciousness of that, sense consciousness, is the knowing quality. The fact that something is known, cognized, understood. But all of that revolves around me and mine. Each one of those experiences that we pick up, we tie a sense of who and what I am to that. So, for example, when you're closing your eyes, where do you sense me? Where is that sense? Where do you feel me? Where do you feel yourself? This kind of sense of what I am. Because when we get close to something like a flame or a fire, we pull away from that, and it's I burned myself, and we're very much tied to that experience. My finger has been burned, or whatever it is. And when we're meditating, that experience comes up, at least for myself, quite often. We're just experiencing our own body, and then we get sort of this visceral sense of it, and then we can move up into our heads and our thoughts. And our thoughts again are attributed to who and what I am. And then we notice the body again. But where is that I that's noticing? And for a lot of people, not all people, but I've spoken to a lot, and this seems to be a fairly consistent sense for some people, is that there's this feeling of I right behind the eyes. Who and what I am, what's noticing is behind the eyes. I think for me the reason for that, it might not be your experience, but the reason for that is because the visual sense is so strong. And so because it's so strong for many of us, we're constantly seeing, constantly looking, then those muscles in our eyes are working all of the time. And so I tend to think that's where this overwhelming sense of the visual field has this feeling for me of this sense of I, me and mine. I'm looking at my knee. So when I'm meditating, often I can notice that the muscles in my eyes are actually, my eyes turn down if I feel a pain in what I sense to be my knee. My right knee is in pain. There's just a subtle movement of that. And then I can ask, there's a strong feeling of I behind that. Now again, this might not be your experience, there might be something else, but it's interesting to ask yourself, where do you feel this sense of me and my? Where is that in your body? How do you experience that yourself? Is it spread through the whole body? Is it an entire experience of who I am? Is it a particular place? Because this is going to help you in kind of understanding the practice and understanding what the Buddha is teaching. It's like, well, where does this I come up? Where's the felt sense of me and mine? In Pali, this is ahankara, mamankara. This is the I-making and mine-making. And so the Buddha is consistently teaching us in many of the meditation objects we have to come back to the body. And in fact, he says that one cannot be realized, one cannot experience awakening without having at least spent some time with, in terms of the satipatthana, the first tetrad, the body, our experience of the body. So this is a meditation that the Buddha talks about as having a very important aspect for us. And in fact, the second tetrad is similar in a way. He separates that out, but that's on feeling. But in the first tetrad, we're really witnessing the body, so the Buddha separates that in many ways. And, that might be on the elements. And we talk about fire, air, water, earth. And those are ancient ways of referring to elements. But when we think about it in terms of the body, it's just very basic. It corresponds very much to most of the experiences that we're having. When we talk about the earth, that's just the quality of contact, heaviness, a sense of like how we feel our bodies. That sort of very earthy quality of it. The weight, the contact we have with within our body. Or we have a sense of air. The air or wind element is more like the movement. You hear your heart beating, or you feel your heart beating, or you just have a lot of the air moving in and out of your lungs, or the movement of your muscles twitching or moving, or whatever it might be. There's that sense of an energetic flow within the body. And fire is kind of obvious if you are feeling it right now. It's just that sense of heat, and the opposite of that, coolness. And then water is that's a liquidity, this flowing sense that we have within our own body, or the liquid sense. So these are all, again, experiences. They're not up in our heads. They're not kind of a sense of our thinking about these things. They're very much felt within the body. And over again, this is where we're really searching for this sense of how we create meaning behind who and what I am around this. So like if somebody touches us and we don't want to be touched, I mean, don't touch my body. Or if we're stung by a bee or something, this is an unwanted contact, unpleasant feeling. So it's obvious I don't get stung by a bee and then I say, oh, Ajahn Cunda is feeling pain now in his finger, because it's my body. But it's how much we really cling to that my-ness, and we worry about it and we are concerned with it. And most of us can see this with our concern around our own health. So we might have some anomaly we're feeling in our body that's as an anomaly. It's different. It's like, what is this? I have some sort of pain or something. And then for some of us it might be, oh my God, is it cancer? Maybe I'm dying. And then it goes away. We might go to a doctor for that too. It's, I have to figure this out, something's wrong. And sometimes I think, a lot of doctors are they're used to this kind of thing. And just, they'll kind of figure it out. They do try to put some time into it, but then sometimes, no, I don't think anything's wrong there. It doesn't correspond to anything I've ever seen. Well, what about cancer? Doesn't seem like it's necessarily cancer. It's just a unpleasant feeling. If it keeps continuing on, then just come back and talk to me. We'll figure it out. And I'm sure a lot of those people just don't see the doctor again because it passes away. That feeling, that unpleasantness. And so we're often searching for meaning around that, our health, what it means, what's wrong. And I remember talking to Lumpur once. He had a cold, and I said, "Oh, you have a cold right now. How did you get that?" And he, Lumpur can often be quite direct. He said, "I was born." Right. Because for me, I was coming from a sense of like, well, what? You must have gotten it from somewhere. Nobody else is sick. You haven't been out. So I'm trying to figure it out. How did you get ill? And it's just like, well, that's what it is. Bodies get ill. I mean, sure, he got it from someone. That's how colds or flus occur. But we just all get them. And it's because we were born. It is the complete natural aspect of who and what we are, is that we get sick and we age and we experience death. But that's all wrong, isn't it? It's not supposed to happen. That's surely what often comes up when our bodies get sick. It's like, I'm going to get over this soon, be feeling back to normal just within a few days. And often when we're sick, the whole world just kind of completely comes into that. We almost enter like a womb again of just being like completely encased with this sense of being sick, and that it's going to end soon. We're going to get over it. We're going to feel better. But maybe I'm not going to feel better. Maybe it's just going to stay this way for a very long time, or I'm going to die with this. We don't know, but that's the fear we often have. Am I stuck? How long is this going to take? And so it's really an illusion. We keep thinking about this, our bodies, as this not being the correct way that they're supposed to be. But getting sick is exactly what it is. It's right. This is what our bodies were. And that we've gone through evolution in this way of just getting sick and then getting better, sometimes not getting better, sometimes dying. And the problem is because we're attributing our body so much to this personal feeling of who and what I am, then it becomes wrong. It becomes unnatural. And we become obsessed with our health and our well-being and around our bodies, and we often just think it shouldn't be, there shouldn't be a negative feeling. I shouldn't feel anything unpleasant. And surely, the weather is just something so amazing to work around, because we're always having some sense of needing to work with this, the unpleasantness of our very experience of just being touched by our environment. In fact, that's one of the main ways the Buddha says is there's seven reasons that he says that are not based on karma. He's talking about experiencing pleasant or unpleasant feeling, and weather is one of them. Say the experience of the changing conditions. So we might want to say, that's my bad karma. And the Buddha would say, no, it's just the weather. Really, don't worry about it. Don't make it so much about me and mine and complicate things. And so as I'm talking about this, all of this is so very obvious to us, but how often are we working with it day after day, moment after moment? Working with our own bodies, feeling that our reactions and what's going on with us, it's always this experience that we're having, walking around within this body. And we're in these postures, and it's just, I'm getting up now, I'm lying down. And so our practice and what we're consistently trying to do is to break that apart. And as I mentioned with something like the elements practice, it's really, rather than saying I'm hot or I'm feeling hot, it's just, no, this is the element of fire. There is heat. And so the more that we can experience this and we create a habit around it within our own experience, then we can touch into great peace and calm, because it's that obsession with what I am, this body of mine that I'm constantly trying to protect and create as much pleasant feeling as I can around, that's causing so much dukkha. Because it's really ironic, how often we're trying to make things so good for our bodily experience, and that over and over again we're just shown, well, it doesn't work. You can only get things to be good for so long before then there's an unpleasant experience. And that's usually happening minute by minute. We're going through these pleasant and unpleasant experiences. And so we're in a sense realm, we're feeling, we're in a feeling realm, and we can be quite sensitive. So just if somebody says the wrong thing, then all of a sudden it's like the armor we put on, we can feel that in our bodies. We put on this armor of protection. I have to protect this body from this other person who's offended me. And there's sort of nothing more visceral than being embarrassed by another person who says something to you in front of a group of people. And it's just this palpable, strong, such a strong feeling of needing to protect oneself. Well, if you're able to work with that habitually, then it can come to a point where it doesn't affect you, because that sense of me and mine has been let go of. And it doesn't mean that you might have the habit of feeling an unpleasantness around that, but you might have developed another habit of not reacting to it. Just maintaining your equanimity around a very unpleasant feeling. One of the things that I like to reflect on a lot is when I am experiencing something difficult, is just to say to myself, well, an arahant would not react. An arahant would not have that kind of reaction around protection or clinging to self, or having my view, or having my kind of, I can't believe he said that, whatever it is. That's not the go-to. The go-to is, again, ironically, it's the body that's the source of our peace, because we tend to then come into the body and realize all it is just an unpleasant feeling. All it is just, a rush of clenching and there are these muscles moving and working, and we might feel endorphins, we might feel all kinds of things in the body that are going on. But if we're just a witness of that, then there doesn't have to be this sense of protection around my own reactions and being offended and feeling, upset and wanting the world to not have experiences like that. One of Ajahn Chah's teachers was talking about how he, as a monk, was kind of said something. He was walking on an alms round, and there was a person who was out on alms round, and it was a custom for each house to give some rice to the monks. And as he walked by this house, he noticed that this man who lived in the house, he wasn't giving. And he mentioned that to him one day as a teaching. And wow, this man took it very seriously. And he started yelling at this monk. And his reaction just within his own mind was to say, this is the Dhamma that has arisen. The Dhamma has arisen now. Rather than, there's something wrong with this man who's yelling at me, this shouldn't be happening. It's just this is the teaching of the Buddha. There is dukkha. There is the experience of desire not to experience dukkha. This is the cause of dukkha. I don't like this, I don't want this. I want it to be different. And so it's constantly teaching us that. Our bodies are constantly teaching us this over and over again. The Dhamma has arisen. And so each moment we have an opportunity to practice in that way. No matter how difficult it is, the habit is, it shouldn't be this way, it should be different. But over and over we just keep seeing clearly, no, this is correct. This is how it is. The reactions that are occurring right now, and then my belief that it's all about me and my body and needing to protect it, this is all the Dhamma. This is everything I need to study right here and right now. And so when we remind ourselves of that and we're able to calmly reflect on that very carefully, then we don't experience that sense of me and mine so strongly. It starts to dissipate because we no longer take things so personally. And in fact, it can come with humor sometimes. Because when we've witnessed our own habits, we've witnessed our own ways that we tend to be, then we come back to a sense of, actually it's okay. It's okay that there's this unpleasantness. It's okay that there's a feeling of wanting to run away. A feeling of needing to hide. And then we don't run away. And we see that experience is there's something very pleasant about it because we're not running away anymore. We're actually building confidence in our ability just to listen to ourselves, to witness what's happening. And as I said, it can sometimes turn comical because we get to know our own tendencies, our own reactions, our habits, and then we say, oh, there he goes again. There goes Cunda. And it's just not, the personal is not there. We just see it as habits of our own mind. And so rather than buying into the thoughts, because we can't control them, we just allow them to be present and then use our sense of coming back to the body, coming back to our experience of the body, to seeing that the Dhamma has arisen there, and to be able to let go. And for all of us, we've had at least some experience of that letting go. And I was talking to Luke and Emily Fry, who just lost their son, and reminding them, there are some times when you wake up in the morning and just that sense of me and my is starting to coalesce, starting to, there's a couple of seconds before, and in that moment there's a forgetting about all of these problems that we have, all of this sadness, trauma, difficulty, pain. And then it all comes back. It comes back. So, and we just completely can get absorbed into it. Our own sadness, our own anger, our own fears. But for a moment we've touched into, because the memory is not there, we're not reminded of that. Our sense of who we are hasn't coalesced yet. Our sense of clinging around me and mine and my problems and what I have and what I have to think about, my memories. And so even in that moment, we can use that moment to remember that throughout the day. And I remember how that felt. Just those few seconds before everything came back. Before pain and agony, fear, sadness, anger, whatever it is. And I'm just listing negative stuff because often that's what comes up. That's where our suffering is often around. And I attribute this similarly to if you've ever had a difficult experience with another person, like you've been in a really nasty argument with them, or there's been something quite painful. And again, that's what I find is a bit comedic, is waking up and just, that's not there. Or if there is an ability to catch the breath or to be with our own sense of quiet and calm, coming back to the body in that moment, it's just, all that's gone for just a few seconds. And when it comes flooding back in, it's like, what is that about, That's just my whole story. And we just, I forgot. And he said that. I can't believe he said that to me. What? Oh my God. And then we just go into those stories and we stay there. We stay stuck. When we actually had that moment of peace, that moment of me, mine, myself, how I think, how I feel, my views, all of it's gone for just a few seconds. And how easy it is to just pick it up and just grasp and clutch and attach ourselves. Because we often do love our own anger and our own justifications, our views. And so that's, it's just a place of practice to work with when you do have that. And it's not, it's something to be careful with and to use in your own practice when you notice these times when there's that self dropping away. And so when we're sitting here meditating, that's often what can come up for us, because we're just watching our breath, we're watching an experience we're having in the body. And there's just those moments when all of that thinking and that sense of fear around what's going to happen, what my future is going to be, and this person shouldn't have said that to me, or I should have said that to them, or whatever it is, or our desire for something, our greed and desire around a particular thing, or just being confused. for a moment it just drops away, all of that. And when it doesn't drop away, it's just because that habit's not there. And so as long as we keep coming back, we have faith in coming back to our own bodies and our just experiencing our own bodies as they are, not adding complication. And we develop that habit more and more, and that sense of self just becomes more distant, and we start to enjoy and really build the tendency towards staying with our own experiences of our bodies. We get comfortable in our bodies, we get comfortable with the difficulties we experience in them, or even the joys, whatever it is. That's where our habit starts to move to, and more, that's where our trust begins to form. If I just keep turning towards the breath and let go of this very visceral sense of it has to be about me, this is my breath, and we just keep letting go of that consistently and trusting in that awareness that we can have, then all of that sense of self, it all just becomes quite meaningless. And over time, it just drops away. And we can't control our thoughts. We can't just say, stop thinking. But we can know that they're just illusions. They're just ghosts in the machine. And we can laugh at them, we can see through them, and trust within this awareness of just coming back again and again to our breath, to experience of the body, these elements. And knowing that when we do experience worry or fear or greed or anger, it's quite natural. It's just that flowing element within the body over and over again, just moving through all of these emotional experiences and trusting that we can know more and have more intuition arise, know what the right thing is to do consistently if we trust within watching all these experiences rather than moving into them as my experiences. Who and what I am, how I believe, my concerns. So those are just some reflections tonight, and if there's anything that's been useful, please reflect on that and take it with you, and otherwise, if there's other things that have not been so useful, just feel free to leave them behind. You won't.